welcome everybody to my birthday / subscriber stream. I don't stop working just because of a stupid old birthday. We're back. It's Thursday. We're going to be going over games with you guys for the subscriber stream. We've got submissions from Saeed, Jim, Nudge Papa, Asterbait, Ubatis, Arsenal, Mr. Coffee, and Save a Dog. That's 5, 6, 7, 8 at least. What's up, Asterbait? Mr. Coffee, thanks for being here. I'm trying to wake up. I just felt very sleepy in the last 20 minutes for some reason. I have no idea why. I got plenty of rest lately. Last night, woke up leisurely for my birthday today. Okay, guys, we're going to get to the game analysis. Saeed is the first one, Jim, and then Notch Papa. I noticed that Jim at some point donated to the stream 1,000 bits. And now I can't remember if Jim donated while we were off stream, because he's usually not been at the stream lately. Do you guys remember seeing Jim donate the 1,000 bits, or did he just do that at some point while we're off stream? Hopefully he'll be here today. I'm sure if I can remember if he donated while we were streaming or not. I feel kind of bad, but I don't remember. Anyway, guys, please support the stream. I appreciate it, Jim, as well as WJ Loof, Asterbait, and OK Tested donating this week. And we had six gift subs as well. All right, guys, let's get started with Saeed's game. Yeah, I did not see it. I thought it was new today, but I can't remember. Getting old, I'm 39 again. I don't know how many times I've been 39 again. We're not counting, that's the point. I had birthday wishes from Save a Dog and someone else. Arsenal fan. Jim. Thank you, Jim. Alright. From all you guys, Saeed was supposed to be the first one for today, but it's going back to like last week or something. Wonder where that is. Here. Sorry for the what? No, that's not the right one. It's going to be hard to find this game by Saeed. Way back in our messages somewhere. Even before that. Did Saeed submit a game? Mr. No. Here's the link. These are the old ones. Okay, here's the link to 2 of my recent games in a standard tournament. I'd be grateful if you could analyze them on Thursday or Friday game analysis stream. We did the first one, right? So let's look at the second one. I think that was the point. He was saying, okay, we'll do the second one. Mr. Coffee redeemed highlight my message 380. He redeemed. That's cool. It's a new feature. You can redeem highlight my message. Happy birthday, Mr. Coffee. Thank you. My first birthday present today from Mr. Coffee. Yeah, Arsenal and you are on the list. As I said, Saeed, Jim, Notch Papa, Asterbait, Ubatis, Arsenal, Mr. Coffee, and Save a Dog. Ranchez. So I found the Saeed game. This was his second game. Now I'm going to have to look and see what color he was. Damn. Alright, wait a second. Maybe he said he's black in the second game. Okay. Cheers, guys. Welcome. We're doing serious analysis, though. I'm not going to take challenges or play Blitz. I like that. The Sludgy God Mode essay. Santa Claus. Alright. But this is Saeed's game with black. D4, Knight F6, C4, C5, D5, B5. Benko Gambit. I'm not really that, knowledgeable about the Benko, having never played it in tournament games. Mr. Coffee, 500 bits. Alright, Mr. Coffee, thank you so much, man. Not only being our moderator, but supporting the stream and being there for the stream as a friend for a couple years now. I appreciate you very, very much. Thank you for your help. Percy Hepworth, thanks. Happy birthday to me. I'm not getting any younger, but I'm not getting older anymore, which is a good thing. Thanks, guys. Benko Gambit with a6, b takes a6, g6. This is like a kind of accurate move order, I think. There's no reason you have to take on a6. I think traditionally that was like the original Benko Gambit move order. As long as white's not threatening to play e4, you don't have to take on a6. Now he's threatening to play e4, so you want to take on a6 before he has time to play e4. Bishop takes a6, e4, bishop f1, d6, this is standard. And now, my lifetime, I've only played this accepted Benko one time with white against Grandmaster, ironically. It's a really stupid time to start trying a new line when you face some GM. You've never played the Benko Gambit accepted in your life. Some tournament in Canada. I can't remember who it was. Latvian Grandmaster. But anyways, I normally don't play this with either color. Saeed played f4. Percy Hepworth, thank you. Yeah, I try to keep a serious atmosphere where the chess is practical and real, and I'm, there's no like fuss or anything fancy, but we try to be serious about chess. And thank you for the compliment. Subscriber stream, guys. I'm doing game analysis with subscribers here. White played f4. This is like a psycho-aggressive move. And I'm actually kind of surprised how few games where this has been attempted. It makes sense in some sort of odd way. If we go back a minute, it reminds me of something else. Here. So this is an actual variation, f4. The Muri attack. They can play f4 first, and then e4. I wonder if it would transpose. d6, knight f3, bishop g7, e4. But you see the point now. There's a big difference in this position. White would be able to take with a rook. And that's ironic, isn't it? I've seen this before. As you can see, it was played in the late 80s. But Stockfish is having a really hard time actually debating whether it's better to take with the rook or the king. It's not clear. If it's about moving our king to g2, then maybe we save time by playing king takes f1, king g2, and the rook could even possibly go to e1 in one move. So it's not clear that king takes f1 is an inferior move to rook takes f1. That's our plan to come here. Could the rook possibly be better placed at e1? Muri's a really interesting player. Okay. So, anyway, very creative. Super ultra creative in the opening for a grandmaster. For a mere grandmaster. d6, f4. Possible transposition here. The engine is giving knight on bd7 as a dubious move. Whatever. And now knight on g to e2. Sorry, guys. So, yeah, why in the world would anybody play knight on g to e2? Karsten Huy, who's a Danish grandmaster now. Cheers, everyone. Thank you for the donations, Mr. Coffee Jim. The emotes. I got a message here from Saeed. I'm experiencing what? Todorov's challenging me again. I can't play you now, man. I will take a rain check on that challenge. Todorov. But I'm not in the mood to play tonight. We're just doing game analysis. If he's listening, I really don't mean to, respectively hurt your feelings, but I'm just not playing anybody. So Todor, if you're out there listening, I appreciate the challenge, but I can't play. Saeed, what's that? I'm experiencing a technical issue with my connection. Hopefully I'll join. Okay. So you can't watch right now. Anyway, whoops. All right, back to the game. Todor challenged me. Once again, we're just analyzing. All right, Saeed is here. Knight e2 is a bad move. Not supporting e5. Clearly, that's the best. This is the other problem with the move order. If he plays knight f3 here, he's threatening e5. That's a serious problem for black. And I think that's why the computer argues that this is a mistake. We still have a square for that knight to go to. If we play bishop g7 and white tries to advance too early, it's possible it's just overextended. But we need a place to put the knight. So this is counterintuitive, but it may just knock out white's entire center in this position. So the reason why this is inaccurate, let's go back, knight on bd7 is inaccurate, is because white can play knight f3, and then what are we going to do? You'd have to play this Fernando Braga. He's Italian, I guess. Italian IM. Maybe even a GM. I'm not sure. But he played here, bishop g7. Where are we going to go after bishop? Maybe the other guy's game makes more sense, because knight b6 attacking d5. Preventing e5 by keeping pressure on d5. You can see here, g3, bishop g7, king g2, castles. White is up a pawn. There's also a Gajewski game. A lot of good players. Playing white is better. And see, this is the idea. Rook e1 might even be better than rook f1 for white. So this is a huge mistake. Knight on g to e2. Bishop g7, and then this is horrible. Both sides have made mistakes, but knight g3... awful square. It's just a terrible square for the knight. Has nowhere to go from here. It will never move. Maybe for a long time. It is possible for black to play h5, I think. I would honestly think that you could play this. It's a little bit crazy, but it's a completely reasonable way for black to play. Actually, h5. Where is the king going? Now, he's destroyed his own possibility of going to g2. He doesn't have a good place to go. So h5 is a good move. This is okay, I guess. This is fine. Now, there's some sneaky threats here. White never sorted out his king. So this is a cool idea. And c4 is almost unpreventable. The double threat. So b3 is clearly a blunder. After black, after h5, will we castle? That's a good question. The rook can play from its original square. But I would always keep my options open. I don't think you have to answer that question. You have to wait and see how the game transpires. I mean, you could walk your king over to g8 manually. Maybe you'll castle queenside. Probably not, but, there are two reasons to castle. Number one is to make sure your king is safe, and number two is to get your rook into the game. But if you're able to play h5 and activate the rook from its original square, that's one of the top two reasons for castling, to really get the rook in the game. So if you can get the rook in the game without castling, after f5 for black in exchange on g3, I'm not sure what we're talking about. But this looks fine. You played in a very traditional way. So you had the same idea, like you could have played c4 immediately. That's amazing. Because after this, you could have done the same thing you did in the game with a different move order. Threatening the mate there and opening up the diagonal here. So he can't protect. He can't protect it both directions at the same time. So that was beautiful. I mean, actually, you should have seen that because you're like playing queen b6, and you're basically setting up this threat when you played knight g4. That's amazing, though. So just c4 first. It's almost like you saw it, and he tried to stop it. He tried to stop it with this queen c4. I mean, it does look like a reasonable move, queen c4. We have like queen a5. Yeah, queen a5 is just going to win. I would think queen a5. Oh, I see. It doesn't work. You tried a similar idea. That's tough to find. It's against intuition to take on c3. So you're supposed to just take on c3 and play c4 no matter what. I would have played this, and then after this, realized that I don't really have anything. Do I? Here. Here. See, there's nothing convincing here. Queen c4 is yeah, the most obvious way to prevent your threat, but c4, oh, we missed that, right? Here, now the question is what to do. If we take this, you know, it's not obvious what black's next move is. You can play c4, and his only way of protecting this point, right, is with the queen. So he must defend it with the queen. Queen f3 or queen c2 or queen e1, queen d2. He has a lot of different options to do the same thing, right? Queen f3, let's say, attacking your knight. I mean, obviously you can just take here, and then he takes your knight. I mean, even just like the simple b2, bishop takes b2, queen takes b2, queen d1. To be perfectly frank, I mean, even this position, as much as it looks kind of not a big deal, this is probably just lost for white because white's overextended, his king's in the center, and even if you're not up any material, you're probably winning. Knight is badly placed, his king's exposed, he's overextended. But let's see what the computer thought. So c4, I'm assuming. Bishop takes c3, queen takes c3, c4. I was arguing for queen f3. I didn't see this though. I just wanted to do this. Let's see. You have rook takes a2. Wow. Yeah, this is brutal. Threatening mate at f2. Rook a2, ba2. Oof. HBTU, R2D2. Railbird80, long time no see. Uber driver, thank you, man. Thank you for the 500 bits birthday donation from the Uber driver, who shall remain anonymous. Keep paying me off. No, I don't want to know your identity, Uber driver. You're an old friend. 500 bits. Thank you for the emotes. 10 emotes shared from Uber driver. Uber driver. There are no Ubers in Budapest. I just have a little map on my phone that shows no cars. Sadly, Uber driver. You can't have employment here in Hungary. Ubers are illegal. Alright guys, thank you for supporting the stream. This is the end of Saeed's game. We're going to take a look here. But he misses this. It's understandable. This looks like a good move too, though. Double attack. Yeah, this is good enough. Or is it? Is this enough? Okay, white played rook b1, but why not h3? I mean, you just take and play knight back to f6, right? Why doesn't he not play h3? Queen c4, bc4, knight f6. I mean, there's practically no defense to this move. Again, knight g3. It's horrible for white. He's just totally dissolving. I mean, this is a terrible position. Just falling apart. Still, Sai didn't play badly. You know, he missed the best wins. But this is dream position. You're just totally winning. All these pieces are undeveloped. King is on f1. The rook is out of the game. Man, it's a nightmare. It makes you want to play the Benko. And that pawn's falling as well. And that means this is a protected pass pawn on c5. So we're finally winning material. A very important pawn at that. This pawn is guaranteed protected passer. This was a good move by your opponent, you know, activating the rook without trading pieces. Yeah, that bishop is dead. Very nice move, rook a1. Now you repeated position, I don't know why. Maybe time pressure. And knight d2. I mean, obviously this bishop is non-existent. Knight d2, attacking e4. I don't see a win. Just repeated position. It's okay to repeat moves in a better position. That's the right idea in the endgame. There was a threefold repetition. Wow. He didn't see it. He didn't claim it. It's lucky that it doesn't automatically claim it or something. Rook a1. Yeah, that bishop is horrible. Oof. This is problematic. His king is such a good position. I don't think you can win the minor piece endgame. So you must keep rooks on the board. I could be wrong. You know, I could be wrong, but I think the minor piece endgame isn't a win. This is well, okay. I mean, you can't play king d3. He has to play king b5, and then he's kind of screwed. Yeah, everything falls apart. He can't play here because of c4 check, and he can't play king b5 because this takes with an attack on e2, and then this is hanging. He loses everything. Still, it wasn't a bad game. Was not a bad game. Yeah, you should never allow perpetual there. I mean, repetition. You missed like a couple clearly winning moves, but I think you played better than the printout sort of gives you credit for. Okay, but that was an interesting line in the opening, and I think it's underrated. White should play that line more often. Probably it's an interesting system for white. The Benko's not real popular at the moment, for some reason. Merle Dixon with 1001. Zombie birthday. 1001 zombie birthday cake. And Merle Dixon, thank you, man. 25 emotes shared from Merle for the birthday. Merle takes the birthday lead with this donation, actually. Todorov challenging me to raid a crazy house. Todor, I would play you if it wasn't my subscriber stream. He's desperate. I like Todor, but he's not aware of the premise of the stream. All respect for grandmasters. Todor's kind of new on lichess, and as I said before, I played him back in 1996. I'm not sure if he remembers me. Before either of us was more than a FIDE master. But anyway, he's probably around the same age as me. I would I would expect. Okay, guys. So 39 forever. Thank you, Merle Dixon. 1,001 bits. Let's see if it will update the bit weekly total. All right. Next game, Jim. Recent classic. A recent classic game we had against an FM and a Simul. Unexpectedly, a pretty good display. Luana, thank you for the birthday wish. Jim is white against an FM. No inaccuracies, no mistakes, 2 blunders. It's the way to do it, Jim. All or nothing. Go big or go home. Thanks for the birthdays. Thanks for the birthday wishes, guys. I'm having my birthday beer celebration. Jim's game. Jim is white. This is the Mora Gambit, which I don't recommend like above the master level, but it's reasonable. You know, I guess it's reasonable up to a certain level. I still think it's kind of a cheap opening, and it wouldn't be my choice. But you know, for beginners, okay. You know, it's a good way of teaching people how to play for the initiative by sacrificing a pawn. But Jim is advanced enough that he should graduate from this. You know, Larson famously said it's like just a free pawn for black. I kind of tend to agree. C3 and now knight f6. So black doesn't want to deal with it. You know, a lot of people, to simplify their opening repertoire, will not accept the Mora Gambit just because it's easier. You know, it's easier not to have to bother to learn another variation. So by playing knight f6, black just forces the game into a c3 Sicilian. And I think it's kind of funny because the c3 Sicilian and the Mora Gambit are really kind of different openings. Though the c3 Sicilian can be played aggressively. Knight d5, c takes d4. Okay, so this is not the main line. I don't know how much theory you know here. Okay, tested. You got the Joanna and the Pepe. Okay, tested has Joanna and Pepe emotes going on. Alright. You're alright with us. Knight d5, c takes d4. So, you know, I'm not an expert. All I know is that they prefer knight f3 here to c takes d4. C takes d4, e6. D6 is more standard. It's like in Alyakin's defense. You want to put pressure on the enemy's center. I think d6 is a little bit more fundamental. But if you play e6, there are specific variations with this. There's b6. It sort of sets up b6s. So if you like to do the b6 type of formation, this may be like a specific move order designed to allow for that. Ken Smith gets cheated. I was thinking about this, Uber driver. Ken Smith gets sort of dissed. People just call it like the Mora Gambit. What happened to Ken? Like, we're just gonna drop the first half of the Gambit from its name. You know, that's not right. Anyway, poor Ken. E6, knight c3, and now. It's pretty standard to take here. Knight c3 I don't think is a normal move. It has a good score though. By not normal, I mean it's not the most common move. He wore a top hat. You know, that was before my time. Ken Smith was kind of before my time. I mean, he was still around when I guess I started playing, but I never saw him. He was from Texas. Never got out to Texas for a tournament in the early days. Knight takes c3, b takes c3, d6, knight f3. Now this could transpose. They were supposed to play queen c7. You know, Rizitano famously had a game with black in this line against Tony Miles. Being from New England, you probably know Risitano, Uber driver. James Risitano is American. I am from Massachusetts. I remember in some C3 Sicilian books he has a game in this variation that he lost in, I think in the World Open against Tony Miles. It was like an important game for this variation with Queen C7. Queen C7 has been recommended by a lot of experts. No, this is a normal line. I think Queen C7 is considered best. You see, that's the problem. When you play Knight C6, you're transposing to something else. The idea with Queen C7 is that you do like a quick B6, Bishop B7. You don't interfere with the bishop on a long diagonal. And the knight will go to D7. That's like a main line. The main line. When Black plays Knight C6 now, he's basically transposing to a different variation. But this is the problem. Now the bishop on C8, how are you going to effectively going to get it into the game? This is technically like becoming an inaccurate move order for Black or something. So this is a strange move though. If I'm White here, I'm either taking on D6, which we don't really want to do, I guess, because it enables Black's development. Or you can play Bishop D3. And on D takes E5, you just take back with a pawn. The structure doesn't matter so much here. I had a game with Vita Levente that went something like Bishop E7, castles, castles. Queen E2. I thought this was the position, but something's wrong. Maybe if we transpose, No, there's something wrong with this position. I guess it's not the same position. But that's close to a normal position. But Jim's move Bishop E5 just doesn't seem right. That bishop is really your best minor piece, attacking H7 typically. Yeah, Black is a little underdeveloped, but it's more or less the way it's supposed to be. Bishop D7, you know, I don't know what White's really doing. Pomar Salamanca against Silvino. Pomar was a famous Spanish grandmaster, right? Maybe he was like the first Spanish grandmaster. But Silvino I played. He was the president of the Cuban Chess Federation at one point. Bishop takes D6, Bishop D3. So Jim's admitting his mistake. And then Rook C8. Castles and H6. See, this is a bad sign. I mean, Black is already like seriously worried about the king side, but every time we move a pawn, it's going to get worse. If you castle, guess what? We have to calculate. Bishop H7, King H7, Knight G5 check. Can we go King G6, or is it just game over? Does it matter? How bad is this? I mean, Black has F5. You know, maybe Black's okay here. Queen G4. F5. It seems to be okay. White doesn't have Queen G3. Yeah, that's important. So this isn't dangerous. This is an unnecessary weakening of Black's king side, playing H6. See here, there's a game where Black played Queen A5. Ironically, the obvious move is probably the best move. Now, I'm not sure White doesn't have a strong attack anyway. I mean, maybe you have an attack with Knight G5. Maybe this isn't so stupid. This has got to be the best try. The Petrov style Rook B1, the engine prefers. Knight g5 is interesting, inducing weaknesses in the black king side. And the beat goes on. I'm not sure, you know. Lasker said when you play defense, you want to just barely escape and not make concessions unless necessary. The Steinitzian school of defense. Try not to create weaknesses in your position, first of all. Just squeak by. I never heard that quote, Uber driver. Anyway. Alright, so h6 unnecessarily weakening the king side. This is going to make it more problematic later. And I think bishop d2 is okay. It's more standard to play queen e2. But if queen e2 castles, then queen e4 f5, I suppose. So Jim's right to think about developing his other pieces. I mean, obviously rook e1 is a normal move here. Rook b1 could be played at any time. Bishop d2 is probably not bad. Castles, rook e1. I mean, my main idea is to play queen e2 and queen e4, but it's not that effectual. I mean, because of f5, what are we going to do? The other thing you can do is try to start using your hanging pawns actively. Can white incorporate an active play, you know, some sort of active play with these hanging pawns, you know, in tandem with kingside threats? Rook e1 is clearly not a bad move. This gives black running away options. It also gives him bishop f8 to defend in some scenarios. Knight e7 might still be a maneuver. Yeah, well actually, Asperby's talking about rook lifts. I mean, these rook lifts exist. Rook e3 not so much here because of bishop f4. This is a hyper subtle move by Jim. Queen c1, hyper subtle. I mean, that wouldn't have even entered my mind. It's similar to the Panov. Yeah, rook b1 is an automatic. You have this maneuver, rook b5, rook h5, actually. It's a Petrov idea. If we could transfer the rook over to the king side, it might have a decisive effect. I'm not sure what black would do here. I mean, he probably should be thinking about blockading with knight a5. This is a realistic possibility. That would cut out rook b5 and defend the b7 pawn. The downside is that then white has knight e5, and you don't really want to give up your bishop for that knight unless you have to. You know, but maybe you have to. Now the knight would be so strong, you'd have to like give it up. Maybe black can defend this position. The structure favors black slightly. There are similarities with the Petrov. It's a standard hanging pawn position. Yeah, I mean Panov you said, but also the Petrov. So queen c1, kind of a weird move, and now black attempts to punish it with knight b4. Off center. No rook for white. This is notable that Jim's rook is not present and accounted for. If his rook is on d1, I like his position a lot more. And queen f6 is kind of a weird move. I mean, that's pretty random. I don't know what this even does or what the purpose is. Just to put the queen on a random square. Alright, I mean, he's defending h6. I mean, I guess there's nothing more to it than that. He's just guarding against a threat. Yeah, so there's an obscure, not so obscure tactic here. Pointed out by the analysis engine. White could have won a piece. With queen a3. What's the time control? We didn't know what the time control is. It's a weird move. It's another a link in the chain of problems that black has. The bishop's not protected, the knight's not protected. I never would have played knight b4 though. I don't like having my pieces in, vulnerable positions. Maybe once I lost the game by doing something like e5 in a similar position. I mean, usually that's kind of risky for black, I would say. But queen c1 is a funny move. Okay, knight e5 is normal. He takes, he gives up. This was a surprise. I really thought we were going to take with a rook here to keep the structure a little more wholesome. I kind of like rook takes. Computer doesn't like it. Yeah, pawn takes wins a piece, though. Yeah, that's better. Winning a piece is more important. Yep. You're just winning a piece. That's ridiculous. All right, then. Yeah, but the guy thought he was losing a piece anyway. But he had this. Which is pretty easy to see, actually. I mean, nothing changed. Yeah, this is just... I guess he was counting the same way I was. Forgetting that you can take with a pawn. Still not you're winning. You're not winning a piece. Queen h4. Why not queen d8? We have the sacrifice on h6 now. Devastating effect, right? It's over. Yeah, that's pretty nice. This is probably deadly. If queen h4, rook e4. It all works out. Queen h4, rook e4. Well, so you have to play queen e7. That's the only move. I would think the sack is still strong. Bishop takes. This still looks really strong. Bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes. You're going to get this back. You're threatening mate in 2. And this knight is just hanging. Was an impressive game. Black underestimated d takes e5 and the various sacrifices. And wrong rook lift here. This is strong too, and Jim wins. That's funny. You can just play rook e4. Time rarely a factor in Aspirate games, that's true. It's definitely a factor in Jim's games, though. He's one of the only people who actually loses because of time against me in our simuls. That's inconvenient. That's inconvenient. Very impressive. Black's adventure with knight b4 led to the loss of this game. I would intuitively not play that move because, like it was pointed out by OK Tested in the very beginning, clearly this type of variation we're a little bit lagging in development with black. I mean, that's nature of the position. Black's not castle, white's castle, kingside safely, and white also has a stronger center. So, but to take time out to play knight b4, what would I play here if I were black? I mean, I want to f5 in reserve in case of an emergency. I don't really want to play that. So maybe bishop f8. No, bishop f8. It looks like the safest thing to do. It's not bad. I mean, screw the sacrifice on h6. You're never going to get a sacrifice on h6. This is what Lasker would do, right? This is an illusion anyway. Like, we have some attack. Like, oh, the bishop's active on d6. Black doesn't have any real threats. Computer is pointing out his other move, queen f6, might actually have been reasonable now. All right, let's move on, guys. Thank you, Jim. That was a nice attacking game. Naj Papa is actually our next submission for this week. I'll try to get through all the games, guys. Here it is. Naj Papa, our Hungarian subscriber, one of them. Here's a submission for the analysis stream on Thursday. Never better in the game. My opponent resigned and closed his lichess account afterwards. So I must have done something right. Well, I assume he wasn't like an engine because you beat him. He closed his own account afterwards. He beat him so bad. That reminds me of Larry Christensen. Larry is like sadistic, and he would. I remember I used to talk to him a lot, and we would joke about playing online, and he would say how much he enjoyed. He told me how much he enjoyed like breaking people's like, I don't know, spirit or whatever. He would say he would play a match with certain players and like take pleasure in beating them down so their rating went like down below a certain point. Like, I beat him down to 2200, or he would like beat them in like 100 games till they lost like 200 rating points. He took more pleasure in that than actually winning the game. Notch Papa's opponent actually deleted his account, though. That's pretty serious. All right. He quit chess forever after this game. E4, E6, the French defense. The Nefedov variation with A3. All right, classical E5, winnower. Knight E7, A3, take, C5, Queen G4. Here we go, kids, into the main line of the winnower. I can understand wanting to quit chess after playing a winnower, though. It's really it's a trudge through the swamp, I mean, these positions are hard for both sides. Queen takes G7. What was I going to suggest here? Bishop D3. This is an interesting line. I don't know if Notch Papa's here. Like, I remember having an exhibition game I played on World Chess Network against John Wallace. Like, the one or two times, I've only played the French like one or two times, but John played that against me. I think Bishop D3. Thanks, T Dark, for the birthday wish. This was actually also kind of acclaimed as a serious try by John Watson in his book, Play the French. Bishop D3 is interesting. Queen takes, an interesting alternative. Well known, though, if you know the French. I don't know that much, because I don't play either side of these positions. And if I do play the white side of the French, I'm not going into this insanity. Something more quiet I would play with white. Probably my favorite battles in this I've seen were, I guess it was like Tal against what am I talking about? Tal against Spassky. There was one famous match. Maybe Uber driver knows what I'm talking about. There were some famous matches in the 50s and the 60s with these winnowers. Spassky was white against Spassky against Tal, I guess. Yeah, Tal must have played the black side of the French against Spassky. But I feel like there was someone else who played it with black. Maybe Korchnoi. Spassky against Korchnoi. Does that make sense? I'm getting younger every day. So anyway, mainline winnower, 92. Okay, the 1960 World Championship match. I just remember one game where like Spassky was like playing with king on D1. There are variations like that where your king goes to D1. Yeah, here. That's fun. If you really want to have fun. You could play like Spassky. Tari against Kovalenko. Very, very conservative players there. No. Okay, 92, knight c6, f4. This is like main line, and now takes on c3. So this is a funny pawn, in these winnower lines. I feel like, who else played this for black? Bronstein. Bronstein probably played for both colors, winnower French. But there's some people who like take the pawn on c3. I almost feel like the pawn on c3 is actually part of white's defenses in these type of lines. I think it's weird to capture the c3 pawn. It's actually getting in the way of black. queen d3, and d4. Yeah, there's a famous Bronstein game in this line. He won brilliantly. Maybe against Fischer? I can't remember now. You know, I'm not that well read on the historical chess games. Bronstein definitely played with black too. d4. d4 is the main line. Knight d4, knight d4, queen d4, bishop d7, rook g1. I don't know, Noj Papa, you should check with Tóth Ervin. Tóth Ervin is the expert Hungarian player in this. Maybe there's some stronger player who plays the Winnower French. Some GM. I mean, Farago Ivan used to play the Winnower, but he would play other lines with black, like castles, kingside. I don't know if there's any local Hungarian grandmasters who love playing the Winnower with black. So I don't know this. This is like way too far into the opening theory for me. It's all theory, apparently. Queen f2, queen c6, wow. Who is he playing against? Damn. They're like on move 16, following mainline theory. And at this point, Notch Papa backs off after bishop d3. But it does seem strange. Clearly g4, it looks like a threat. I mean, this looks like a threat, seriously. Actually, makes you ask the question, what's wrong with g4? I mean, white doesn't have to play g4. Mostly draws, amazingly. After bishop d3, I mean, I don't think this is a threat. You know, bishop takes f5 is not a threat. We don't mind white taking that and going opposite colored bishops, because I think that white has a lot of weaknesses on the white squares. And that pawn would actually be pretty good. I mean, your pawns on f5 and f7 would do a good job holding up. Queen c6 has, I mean, I think it has several purposes. Obviously, invading at e4 is number one. There's also queen a4. But it's a reasonable question. Getting into e4 is the main point. What happens on queen c6, g4, queen e4 check? That's the point. Bashir Rojabov, Alexeyev Gupta. That's why white's playing bishop d3 in the main line, not to allow this. Does that mean this knight finds a good square here or here at some future point? Yeah, f5 would be okay if you had bishop f5, e takes f5, not so bad for black. So I think that it does seem weird to pull this knight back voluntarily. I mean, I realize you also have a square on d5, but there are more aggressive moves you can play here for black. Unfortunately, castle's queenside might just drop the a7 pawn. This would be my first consideration. Maybe here I mean g4 is the problem. We're just going to have to pack our bags anyway after g4. What's up, someone on sound? Good to see you. All right, I want to see what the oracle suggests. Queen d5. That's a secret move. Queen d5 preparing bishop c6. Now you know why queen c6 was played, T-Dark. It's like a whole... it's a whole like sophisticated plan of creeping up with the pieces on the white squares. Queen d5, bishop c6. Or bishop b5, trading the white square bishop off. They both become possibilities here, you know? But I mean, this is not my idea. This is theory that's clearly existed for a very long time. Rook b1, and now no bishop b5, so bishop c6. But this is viciously controlling d4. So even though white is like active with two bishops, the black pieces are really brutally coordinated here. Fabiano, one of the best French players in the world, playing black. Okay, so this is an unnecessary retreat. White knows what he's doing. Then b6, kind of passive move. g4, looks like white's played perfectly. And then castles queenside into the lion's den here. Still, white has to take care. I mean, he's not castled. Not really clear what he should do. Maybe bishop e3 with possible sacrifices on b6. Now he played h4. Just go with the h-pawn. That's also a good plan. Is there any possibility of doing like sacrificial plan? Knight, bishop e3, knight d5. Bishop e3, knight d5. Probably black is okay here, but this is the deciding pawn over there. If nothing else, we're going to lose to the h-pawn coming down the board. Black needs to do something proactive before that happens. So let's see. h4. That's the issue. The question is, should white just start h4 right away? Let's see if he played the best move according to the engine. h4 right away. Rook b4 is an interesting move. That's kind of a Bronstein style move. Rook b4 threatening rook c4. Very dangerous. Black would have to play king b8. Then even a4 is possible. This appears to be seriously superior. h4. And now you play queen d5 with like a delayed bishop c6. h5. Rook hh is defending. And now bishop e3. Looks like white's played this perfectly, honestly. Bishop c6. And everything's under control. King e2, okay. Rook g8, black's just passive. Rook b4, perfect move. Queen a5. And suddenly we have some problem. Like this is hanging. And if we move this rook over, we drop our g-pawn with devastating effect. And this is a threat. So like out of nowhere, suddenly white's in trouble. It appears. But he does have a move. It's not that bad. He played what? Rook b3? Rook b3, knight d5, and resigns in a better position. My guess here is that Wolfgang Puck, he basically was using an engine, or no, probably just the opening book or something. Maybe his account was closed. You know, maybe he was a cheater. Man of Spurs, thank you. Highlight my message redeemed for happy birthday. Thank you. I think that it's very possible the guy got his account closed for cheating, but you know, you played this opening pretty well. I don't know. You know, why would he resign here? It was a well-played game by both sides. Black probably made some inaccuracy more than white. And he's not losing or anything. White's better. You know? Maybe he was just caught cheating or something. Difficult to say. He played the opening very, very perfectly, you know, and every single move, really. I mean, did he make an inaccuracy if we submit this for analysis or whatever? Did white make an inaccuracy in the whole game? He played basically like perfect game. Maybe his last move, rook b3. The engine says bishop d4 is stronger. So he's played the second best move and resigned. I mean, black is like down a pawn, you know? You're worse. But it's still a struggle. You do not get a channel point if you watch the stream via the lichess website. All right, important to point that out. That's not good. Is that true? Okay, Asterbait. Strange game. Yeah, the channel points are new. So, yeah, they want to have the... I can understand that. All right, guys, strange game. I don't know. It looks like knight e7 was a mistake by Notch Papa. He made a human mistake, retreating his knight back unnecessarily after bishop d3. I mean, this is certainly not a threat, you know. And it looks like it eventually will have to retreat anyway, but you just should play queen d5. That line is clearly the best. It looks clearly the best. What we looked at, knight d5, queen d5, rook to b1, bishop c6, and now rook b3, and castles queenside. I mean, whatever Fabiano does looks correct. Actually, it's kind of funny that there's not many games. Duda versus Bartel, 2015. But not a lot of people play the winner where it's hard to play. Okay, guys, thanks for joining the stream. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Thank you guys for supporting the stream. Merle Dixon, Jim, Mr. Coffee, Uber Driver, WJ Loof, Asterbait, OK Tested. So, next is Asterbait. Guys, we're going to try to get in as many games as I can by 9 o'clock. When I turn into a pumpkin and go to my informal birthday party. Okay, Asterbait, where's the game? Miniature. I like miniatures. Thursday subscriber stream, game commentary submission. Make it short. Asterbait with white. 1 inaccuracy and 27. That's your tablet again. How can you have like 1 inaccuracy and 27 cent upon loss? I'm gonna embarrass Asterbait now. E4, E5, knight F3. He showed me a game where he played against bishop C5, and he played bishop C4. Now you guys need to know this. This is not an opening. Okay, black can't play bishop C5 here, even if lichess Opening Explorer gives it a name. That doesn't make it an opening. Okay, this basically just loses a pawn. So don't be like Asterbait and assume that that's a thing. It's not a thing. You just take the pawn. There's no way that black has any kind of compensation for this pawn. Just for your edification, don't be like Asterbait and trust black after bishop c5. All right, sorry to call you out, Asterbait, but I just wanted to share that with everybody. Knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5. Knight takes e5, queen h4. I was thinking that the best move, actually, T-Dark, is probably knight takes e5, knight c6. Just trying to... By the way, maybe a great opening in bullet chess, but maybe the best. But, I mean, seriously, maybe knight c6. I remember, like, 30 years ago, sitting down with a chessboard and trying to pre-computers, really... Pre like good computers. They were like 2400. I mean, I tried to figure out over the board if there was a way to make bishop c5 work. You know, I mean, it just doesn't work. Anyway, c3, a6. That's an interesting idea. I think I like a6 better than h6, which is so popular. But they're both bad. I mean, if white were to play passively, black could play some kind of Alyoshin. Speaking of Alyoshin, what, 500 master games of chess? I mean, isn't there a famous game where Alyoshin played black here with queen e7? You don't really see this very often. Does this have a name? Classical variation, closed variation. You could subsequently try to play a6 maybe. There are problems with queen e7, but it's probably playable. You've seen 2 queen e7. That's a real move, though, you know. Once international master Ed Formanek played that against Alexander Ivanov in a tournament in Boston, I was floored, you know, and Formanek got crushed. 2 queen e7. Yeah, that's a thing. At least it doesn't lose a pawn, you know. All right, so a6, d4. It's good to see Asterbate go for it here, but he plays b4. This has become an obsession, okay? Now you've reached the point where b4, it's becoming an unhealthy obsession where you're trying to fit the square peg in a round hole every single game. This is probably like the worst single spot to play b4. Black just went out of his way to play a6. So his bishop would have like extra retreat squares. Plus a6 actually stops b5. I mean, you have many different options here. You could just gambit a pawn with castles. You could play maybe queen b3. I don't really like it, but you should just recapture. Sometimes a simple move is the best move. But this move does not make sense here because he's got convenient retreat. Now, after everything's said and done, it's probably not that bad, you know, but it just doesn't seem like a good move necessarily. It's just really weird to play bishop b6, but whatever. You might as well play bishop a7. And I like the gambit style. Poisonous pawn. And then queen d8, please. The problem is, like, I guess queen g6, bishop d3. Well, black shouldn't be playing queen f6 at all, you know, obviously. I agree, the Italian should be played in a Baroque manner. In a romantic way. Yeah, queen f6 is... If you can't play queen g6 after queen f6, like in a Scotch game, then it should be omitted. Obviously, black is worried about knight f6 getting slammed with e5. Or maybe something even worse. So their fears are founded, but this move isn't so bad. Like, it looks like d6 isn't so bad. You can slow down this. Sigh. Alright, one last try before I have to block your account. Alright. So, cd4... We're not playing Blitz, guys, so please don't challenge me. I don't want to have to block anybody's account. I want to be friendly, it's my birthday. But don't keep re-challenging me. So, well, why not just recapture, man? You know? You're fine. Nothing, you know, there's no reason we have to be fancy here. I think Asterbate sometimes has this tendency to be unwilling to make the normal move, you know? Chess has to be boring sometimes. You can't always be creative. Oof. This looks strong. Queen h5 would be game over. It's game over. The classic. Oof. So, h6 only move. He missed it. So h6, what do we do? Beautiful victory here. g6, missing the point, right? No, but seriously, what's the best win, Asterbate, if he had played h6? HTFP, thank you. I'm 39 again. I keep getting younger every year. No, we just stay the same. No, seriously, what is our best win after h6? We take on f7, the mundane. The mundane victory. I guess. He could sack the rook, though. There's no mate. I wonder if there's anything fancy we can do. Just curious. Knight takes f7. Rook takes f7. Queen takes f7 check. It just seems so mundane. I mean, there's no better move here. Bishop takes. Bishop takes king h8. Doesn't seem to be like a knockout blow. I'm just wondering, what is literally our best move after h6? Knight f7. Yeah, there's nothing better. Knight f7, rook f7, queen f7 check. And we've got some ideas of bishop takes h6, and some ideas of a rook lift. But there aren't that many reinforcements. All of our reinforcements are over here, you know, so it's hard to actually finish black off. But this is cute. Bishop takes h6. G takes. I feel a rook lift coming on. Check here. King h7. Oh, bishop d3. I was thinking this. That would actually screw up the entire position. It's amazing. Bishop d3. Maybe next move. And now this. There's no mate, though. It's amazing. Okay, guys. Astrobait, thank you for the game. That was, you got to stop playing b4 in every situation. You know, this is really becoming too much of an obsessive. You're like obsessed with this pattern of playing b4. Try to move away from that a little bit, you know, and just focus on the center. This simple recapture here is a stronger move. Check, and just knight c3. I see no reason to just not make the classical, straightforward moves here. You have everything. 2 pawns, ideal pawn center, lead in development, safer king, strong pawn on e4. Perfect position. All right, guys, let's move along. So Yabatis is up next. I want him to be able to get to bed on time tonight. Don't want to keep him up too late. All right. I'm sorry, what did you say here? Opponent might not have played very well, but what a nice finish. It's not how you play the game, it's how you finish. When is your game? HTFP. I have bad news for you. You can always do a nil. Seriously, it's earlier for you. Do you have to go? If you have to go, just let me know. You know, we'll push it up. You saw a new book on G2, G4? My friend Joe Fang has a book on C3 with ideas of G4. That's really messed up. The C3 opening. Okay, Saids, thank you for joining us. All right, Yabatis is up next. We got the game up. Yabatis playing. Let's flip it. Playing. What are we doing here? Wait. Oh, this isn't your game? I understand. This isn't your game. You just submitted a game by some other players. Okay, I don't know which side to watch here. We'll just let it unfold in front of us. This is your game. Oh, you go by Anonym. I'm an idiot. I mean, I figured that's just a normal Danish name, you know? It just looks like any other Danish name to me. I'm so American. No, I really thought it was like some weird Danish name. That's ridiculous. All right, Bent Larsen versus Anonym. FIDE Master Anonym. Knight f3, d6, g3, b6, bishop g2, bishop b7. Yeah, but if you made it in one word, people would probably figure it out. I think making it 2 words makes it much trickier. I definitely would have caught it if it was all 1 word. Makes it look more believable. Funky start. Black's playing a hippo, but now it's like he deviates from normal hippo pattern. My old friend Emil Solansi playing in 1983, a game here in Hungary. Kind of funny because Emil doesn't, Emil almost always plays e4. It's funny that he had a game here with like knight f3 or something. E4, G6, Queen E2. Okay, it's like a standard King's Indian attack for white versus some kind of double fianchetto, funky setup. It's reasonable for both sides. We're deferring, it's like a Magnus Carlsen. We're deferring the London system. Deferring the action till later, basically. C3. Okay, the first weird move of the game. Black plays knight e5. This move is not without some sort of basis, though. This actually happens in the Sicilian sometimes. His idea is, A, to trade pieces, and B, if you do take, you're going to have pressure. You're going to be facing pressure along the D file. G Soats, thank you. Am I 40 today? I'm 39 again. It's so weird. I just keep being 39 every year. Colin Marcus. Don't tell anyone. I'm 39 again. I don't look a day over 39. D takes e4, e5. Yeah, that's not such a bad idea. So I would look for knight e1 here, avoiding exchanges and just punishing black. Then I think that black will play c5. And on f4, he can play something like maybe knight to c6. I don't know, Maybe he shouldn't. Maybe he should actually go back here. But he's got to watch out for tricks. Like this. This doesn't work. This doesn't work for white. You're on 40 and probably look a bit older. Wow, we got an emote thanks to Uber driver's cheer. T Dark is 51, look younger every day. What do you mean? You were 49 the last time I checked. You had to pass, give a happy birthday. Thank you. Olivier Lucas. Did we just get a... That's weird. You're supposed to stop at 49, T Dark. That's the system. We got a cheer? Maybe I didn't thank you guys for this cheer earlier. It's weird. Alright. I just sent a delayed thank you to Merle Dixon. But anyways, I think that black's position here, thank you for the birthday wishes, guys. I never go beyond 39. Never going beyond 39. This is my last 39. Because it's never going higher. It will always be 39. Anyway, no, this is not a stupid idea, but the question is how should white meet it? I like knight e1, but you probably have... Oh, poor Todorov. He's turning into those other guys. Maybe I should just... I feel like I'm hurting his feelings by declining him. Todor. I can't play now. Alright, we can't ban Todor. I'm not going to block a Grandmaster. That's just not right. We'll just keep politely declining him. Alright, knight e1 I like. Knight h4 is also interesting. Probably not as good as knight e1 though. I like knight e1 because you've got the sensitive point at d3 here. You keep pieces on the board and you'll take away any kind of bishop a6. Kind of bishop a6 nonsense. You did knight c2, but I don't think you should let him trade pieces. Just by letting him trade pieces, you let him free his position a little bit. Black's a little closer to total equality. I don't really know if it matters which way you recapture here. Probably doesn't matter a whole lot. You're going to have to move it again. Anonym is just playing sort of quietly to lure his opponent into a false sense of security. Yeah, I played Todorov the other day, but I just don't play in my subscriber stream. He's kind of new to lichess. E5, Queen E2, Rook E8. I don't like Rook E8, really. Because ultimately black would like to break with F5, as would white, But I guess if he you know, if he's on the defensive and he has a way of stopping you from breaking yourself, then rook e8 is okay. I mean, ultimately, this is what it becomes, a battle to see, like, who plays first, the first break, gets the upper hand. He can also counter in the center with d5. In fact, oh boy. So it looks like black should play d5. If he just waits too long, you're going to play f4 powerfully, very powerfully. So, for example, if black takes the time to play h6, probably bang, you know, f4, white has a pretty good game. You want to beat him to the punch. Like, you want to play f4 before black can play d5. But what if he goes first with d5? You know, now he's basically threatening to kind of equalize. If you play bishop g5, then h6, then takes, then takes, then takes, then I don't know if you want to take, but you could play like knight e3, but it doesn't feel like you have an advantage really. In fact, like c6 is probably okay for black. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what you should do here. So it looks like d5 is black's best move. Let's just see if the oracle agrees. No. The oracle is starting to agree. Oracle has another subtle waiting move, queen d7. That preemptively gets out of the bishop g5 pin. My analysis is basically correct, though. Like, if d5, white plays bishop g5, it still has some kind of tiny edge. But if queen d7, what do you do about f4? I mean, isn't white just better after f4? Your development is a little slow, and he's already connected his rooks. That's kind of the computer's argument here, I would assume. The f-file is nice, but it doesn't quite, you know, complete your development for you. It takes a while for the oracle. Yeah, I want instant gratification, someone on sound. Oh no, that's Spectacular Camel. I want instant gratification. Thank you guys for supporting the stream. We have birthday today. I'm 39 again. I'll say it for the last time. I'm 39 again. Finally. But rook e8 isn't so bad. All right, reasonable move by black. And then he's trying to talk you out of f4, but should you listen to him is the question now. I think that he's actually strengthening his case for d5 as well a little bit. You know, it makes me want to play f4 all the more. You play knight e3. This is like Petrosian's like favorite square for knights. And if you ever want to learn how to play the King's Indian attack, my favorite was, if you go through Petrosian's games, the most weirdest ones were like the King's Indian attack versus the King's Indian attack or something like that. Like only Petrosian like really knew how to play these like symmetrical King's Indian attacks. It was like Petrosian playing against himself. He was a master of those positions. This is like a very standard like Petrosian knight move. Yeah, I mean, you want the pieces behind the pawns, the shell of the pawns. But I mean, I think that black has d5 here. Ubatis is actually on the defensive after d5. I would worry about only one thing. I mean, is there any chance that white has pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, knight g4, getting a knight on h6? I mean, you know, Fischer and Petrosian are probably like the two. Obviously Kasparov or whatever, but I mean, Fischer and Petrosian are probably the two best players if you want to understand King's Indian attack positions. They're both very good at endgames too. Yeah, if you just studied all of Fischer and Petrosian's games in King's Indian structures, you'd be a master at it. But knight g4, is this something? Peter doesn't really like it. Calling the bluff. Knight f4, that's a neat idea. Wow. Gotta love that. No, you won't play knight h6. I have other plans for you. How does this work? Oh, you mean the knight doesn't have any squares to go to? That's nasty. So black gets the piece back on his terms. h3 or something. Yeah, so knight g4 doesn't look so good. I think after knight e3, Mr. Yabatis lost the pull. Now black is actually playing for an advantage after d5. You probably waited too long to pull the trigger here. So black didn't play d5. He played c5, which gives you a moment to do something before it's too late. Black was greedy. He wanted like everything. c5, e5, d5, rook e8, you know. But I mean, eventually white did something to stop him in his evil ways. Yeah, if he gets in d5, black's just in control, you know. But he waited too long and you played f4, and that complicates the situation. Now at least you have something, you know. This is getting unclear now. Taking with the pawn. If d5, e5, it's messy, right? d5, e5 looks kind of problematic for black. So now he plays bishop a6, but even c4 is probably not a bad move at this point. You have excellent control of the center now. Just went with f5. I'm a little scared of d5. That's why I'm serious about c4. I mean, this could get complicated, like b5. I don't know if I want to win the exchange with e5, because this maybe not such a bargain. Anyway, really interesting position. f5, I'm afraid that he should answer. Bang. Bang, bang. You're dead. So you can actually take on d5, but it's insanely dangerous with this rook on the e file. I mean, actually, let's calculate. Let us calculate, children. Bishop takes d5. Even rook takes e3 is interesting. Queen d5, knight d5, rook e2, knight c7. Oops. Bishop b7. Oh, good, I won a rook. So what's happening here, kids? We get a rook, check, king h1, and then Yabatis' favorite move, rook g3 check. Yes. Looks familiar, doesn't it? This looks like one of Yabatis' other submissions, where he like checkmated someone along the same lines. But no, black needs to answer in the center. A wing attack should be met with an answer in the center. Oh, there's a raid for my birthday. Thank you. There's a raid. We have a raid, I've been told. Aster B, thanks for another 100 bits. Guys, we have just an hour left. We have just an hour left. Did I miss the raid notification earlier or something? I've been like really focused on this game. What are we studying? It's a game. We're doing game analysis. This was a subscriber game. Playing white. So I am rated, apparently. But black did not answer with d5. He takes here, which is insane. That's like just resigning. It's like resigning. I mean, knight on f5 is game over. Game over in one move. Why would anybody like voluntarily play this move? It's suicide. It's not like kamikaze style like you had. It's just suicide in every respect. Knight takes f5, bishop f8. His king will never be safe now. This looks really strong. Bishop G. Bishop G, rook E6, queen H4. Yeah. Something's not right around here. King H8, queen G3, knight H5, queen F3, knight G7, and oops, you found it. There is no protection of F7. I don't know about you guys, but I feel a smothered mate coming on. Well, it's the thought that counts. It's all right. The thought that counts. Queen H4. Man. Spectacular Camel, you don't have smothered mate here? With queen F7, queen G8? You gotta go with a smothered mate, no? I guess it doesn't matter. You can do it the same. Yeah, either way, he's got to sack his queen. What? You played this? Bishop D2? Alright, I mean, it's winning, it's winning. He has to sack his queen. He didn't want to do that. Knight H6, King H8, Queen F7. And now you have the smothered mate threat. But you got to get that, right? Bang. I told you guys I suspected there would be a smothered mate. I had good instincts about smothered mates. Kablam. Alright, that was a nice ending. I agree. It wasn't a bad game. You know, it was instructive for both sides, but he really did like commit suicide in one move. I mean, it was a reasonable game until that. Okay, guys, deep breath. We have like the best part of an hour left in the stream, and I've still got 3 games left, so we got plenty of time. All right, where is it? Mr. Coffee, you bought us. We did. Arsenal. Oh, where is it? This is not it. Where is my Arsenal game? This was game 1 of our intense mini-series. This was an interesting, guys, interesting thing. 2 of our subscribers, actually one of our subscribers and one of our moderators, Mr. Coffee, engaged in a 2-game match. Have I heard of Frolov chess? Artur Frolov? Isn't that like some... Is he like a famous player for some reason? Maybe... Was he the guy who like had his own separate Blitz championship or something? He claimed to be like the world Blitz champion. Some separate scale. Sounds familiar to me. You know, I don't know. There was something weird regarding that name that I remember vaguely. Like there was another competing chess federation he was champion of or something. Maybe he was world champion. Kind of like boxing. No, I didn't hear that he has his own version of chess. All right, so this is game 1. Mr. Coffee against Arsenal fan, 2 of our good friends. Chess variant. Oh, it's way greater than Chess 960. I'll check it out sometime. Thanks for the tip, Manus Spurs. So Arsenal versus Spurs. No, it's Arsenal fan versus Mr. Coffee. All right. So this is Mr. Coffee as white. We're going to flip the board because Arsenal is the hero of this game. Well, should be. He submitted this game. I've played b5 in my stream. I think it's like a touch better against knight f3 than it is against e4. Well, it's obviously against d4. Against e4, it loses a pawn. It's a touch better than that. But basically, I would play like e4, a6, knight f3, b5, or e4, a6, d4, b5 a lot. It's a little bit better here. And I think the best move is actually still e4. You can transpose to bishop b7, bishop b5 to this Polish line. HTFP gifted a tier 1 sub to Oliveira Lucas, so that's awesome. HTFP gift sub for the week. Thank you very much. And guys, thank you guys all for supporting the stream. I appreciate it. Happy holidays in advance for those of you who aren't going to be here. Celebrate the Christmas holidays or what may be your holiday celebration, but we're not there yet. I'm still going to be streaming. I'm not going to stream on the 24th and 25th probably, but most of the Christmas holidays I'll still be business as usual. I'm not going to take any extended time off from the stream. Anyway, I like this for white, actually. Adorian really likes it. The Hungarian Grandmaster, András Adorian. I have a book by him on like offbeat openings. His opinion as a world-class player was like, the Polish is pretty bad. If you just enter the main line here, white should get a really good game in this line. But I think the advice is not to play knight c3 too early. White should concentrate on like kingside development quickly. This is probably one of the best lines for white. But anyways, I had a game with a Hungarian IM, Kustar Sándor, like 15 years ago, where I won. I think it was like 2004, same position. Sándor played e3 against me, and I think I played, I don't know if the game's in here, but I played probably a6, and then what did he do? I think he did a4 and I did b4. Probably this. I don't know if the game's in the database or not, but I'm not sure how critical that is. You know, e3 is not the most aggressive move. This transposes to a straight up Polish. Interesting fact, I think Karpov actually played the Polish on one or two occasions. Against d4, he actually played b5. Spassky may have played the Polish. A few decent players have played it outside of Tony Miles, who always played crazy openings. So e3 is very reserved. My advice to you guys, I think bishop g5 is always a good move against almost every kind of like offbeat thing involving b3, b6, g3, g6, whatever. If you could play like knight f3, d4, you can do the bishop g5 against everything. This is probably a good system. Any kind of b3 system, any kind of b6 system, I mean, this is always good. That's definitely solid. Your recommendation. Looks like the London system, not as good. e3 restricts white a little bit, you know? So that's my vote, would be to play bishop g5. Twitch points are new. So e3, a6, c4, no, b3. So this is funny, Arsenal fans playing white. Oh, I was all confused. It's Mr. Coffee playing white, of course. I switched it around, I forgot. So that makes sense, Mr. Coffee's trying to play his favorite setup. But Mr. Coffee also plays the Tory attack. So you should definitely play bishop g5, man. I don't know if Mr. Coffee's even still here. He's probably working. This is totally up his alley anyway. A good system. Alright, so e3 is a little bit quiet, a little too quiet for white to get a serious edge. c4 is the sharpest. This is okay. So basically Mr. Coffee didn't really try to like refute black's setup. I guess you could also play g6 if you wanted to, Ars. But e6 is more standard. Bishop b2, bishop e7. It looks like both of these guys, several people played c5. That's the standard move in the Polish. I mean, you're always making that pawn duo on b5 and c5. T Dark, I have a strange question. Were there any homosexual chess players? That is a strange question, but I mean, it's sort of like, obviously, you know, just another cross-section of the population. Of course, they're homosexual chess players. The most famous is probably Robert Hubner. All right. Bishop b2, bishop e7, bishop d3, castle, castle, c5, and now a4. This is kind of a surprise. The white played a4. I thought he was going to play, you know, sort of a standard like c4 based setup. You're thinking you're talking about different things now. Somebody's talking about Miles. Miles played a6 and b5. You're talking about like the St. George. Tony Miles was an English Grandmaster, the first English Grandmaster. A player who I really liked a lot, who died young. He was diabetic. About, I don't know how long ago it was now, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago when he passed away. Maybe about 12 years ago, maybe 14. I'm not sure exactly what year he died. But he was incredibly creative, and he wasn't that old when he passed away. It was a shock. But he had some complications with his disease, the blood sugar problems, maybe not taking his medication or whatever. Maybe around 2003. That sounds about right. Yeah, but sad. It was a sad story. I enjoyed playing against him. We had numerous games on World Chess Network, a now defunct chess site. We played some like exhibition games, banter chess, and I did manage to beat him once. I had several draws and several losses, but it was always an interesting game. The one thing that I took away from Miles wasn't really his weird openings. It was his brutal endgame technique. You know, if you guys think that I'm good at endgames, you haven't seen anything yet. I mean, he was just devastating. He made me look like weak in the endgame, basically. That's how good Miles was in endgames. He made me look like an endgame beginner. Yeah, I played Finkel, but not too many games. I've played a6 myself, but you're also getting Michael Basman in there in the mix. The English IM who's still around. He loved to play a6, similar to the Polish. It often transposes. Anyway, I'm surprised by Mr. Coffee's decision to play a4 here. I feel like Mr. Coffee. I feel like a4. It's not bad, but it a little bit plays on white's side of the board. Whereas I feel like white should be focusing more on the center. I would probably play c4 here. I mean, if I'm looking at it from black's perspective, I feel like c4 is the move that is the most daunting for black. It just actively tries to like gain control of the center. But I'm curious what the Oracle says. There's a game where like some random female masters played d takes c5. I don't think that's a serious move at all. I mean, giving up the center is lame. So, of course, it's the number one move by the engine. There must be a tactic that I'm missing here. I don't see why this move is so attractive. What's the big idea? Why can't black take back? Knight g5. Oh my god. So it's a trick. It's all a big tactical trick. Saigonova. Saigonova is very tricky. So this was a strong move. Wow. D takes c5. So it turns out that c5 is actually a mistake. And that was the exact move played in that master game. It's a shame for Arsenal fan, because I mean c5 was easily the most natural. You should have switched up your move order and played c5 first. Probably first straight up, you know, just c5 here. That's kind of weird, dude. Michiel Bosman. No relation to Michael Basman at all. They're not like turning into a Dutch name or something. Playing the setup for black. Kind of weird. You're telling me that's not like Michael Basman's twin playing against Bagirov in 1990? That is amazing, that nice tactic with knight g5. I think you should just play c5 and hope that like you save a tempo by taking on c5 in one go. But it's very tricky to play these systems with black. And timing all that. Totally reasonable. Mr. Coffee didn't see this. This is a complicated idea. You know, with d takes c5, it's against principles. I like c4. And the computer also likes his move a4. I guess it's a matter of taste, but I like this, you know, just central. A4 is not a bad move. Playing differently. And now this may be a bad move by black. I'm not sure. Normally what you want to do is maintain the tension for as long as possible. If Arsenal can play queen b6, I would prefer that to keep a fluid pawn structure. Yeah, he changed his name to just trick the Russians in 1990. I don't know. It's possible. It looks too similar, and the rating's about right. You know, it was like 2,300. The rating's right. The name sounds like Michael Basman. That's weird. A4. Can we play queen b6? Or are we asking too much from life if we play this? I mean, Mr. Coffee could just like up the pressure with this, but then there are tricks with this. This would get weird, you know, like c4, bc4. Nah, he's got knight c4 there. Even, no, nothing. But maybe queen b6 should be considered. It's always tough to decide. The other option is to like give up your pawn, and this usually like wrecks black's structure, but it may not be that bad. You know, it may not be that bad. This is a tough decision. I've played a lot of St. George type structures. It's always very, very difficult to decide whether you should try to maintain the tension, or push. Pushing obviously gives up the c4 square. If Arsenal can play d5, a setup based on d5, keep that knight out of c4 to follow up with, I think he would be all right. But there's no time. Mr. Coffee gets in there right away. Now queen c7. This is a reasonable move. Probably Mr. Coffee has that same idea that those female masters had, with some sort of d takes c5, bishop takes c5, and knight g5. I've actually used this with white in a similar structure. This could still be very dangerous. Obviously here you have queen c6 though. Some ideas based on queen c6. But it's not maybe a big deal, you know. So I think still there's that idea. Mr. Coffee has to look for more dynamic play. One of his weaknesses is that he tries to play a little too solidly. Needs to open it up a little bit. So to go into something like this, you know, and actively pursue tactics would be, you know, a little against his stylistic preference. He tries to play solidly h3, preventing knight g4, this fishing pole mate, you know, very, very normal idea. Wow, this is a weird move. I think that black needs to be focused on development here. I would not consider this move, knight to d5. We still have our pieces buried. The knight is buried on b8. The rook's not in the game yet. You know, I think Arsenal should think about maybe taking. What's up, Blobix? Just cd. And if white takes back with the pawn, we can play a hedgehog with d6. This probably isn't so bad. I'm not sure how Mr. Coffee would have recaptured on d4. But I don't like this move. It's not development. It's just not developing. Moving the same piece twice. I understand that there's some focus on d5, c3, but we've got to get the pieces out. And now Mr. Coffee allows black into f4. But he might have some kind of nasty, nasty shot with d5. That's the question here. This is scaring me. If d5 happens, we're in a lot of trouble. And it did. This could become like a very bad Blumenfeld for black very quickly. This knight is devastatingly placed. It's supporting the pawn to like d6. Maybe Arsenal can bail out here with ed, knight takes d5, bishop h7, king h7, queen d5, and it's not so bad. Knight d4, queen h5 check, king g8 there. So I want to look at this, guys. ED. ED, knight takes d5. Critical variation. Bishop takes h7 check, king takes h7 check, queen d5. When black has to face the threat of queen h5 check, followed by knight to g5. Now, all of white's pieces are extremely good. And this discovery just doesn't work in time because of queen h5 check. So it looks like pretty messy, actually. Maybe in black's favor and white's favor. Damn, the computer just plays g6 cold. Cold stopping queen h5, and it's equal according to the oracle. Interesting variation. I'm not sure that black would have found g6. I mean, it looks almost crazy to weaken this diagonal. So that's not what happened. Arsenal took here. Now this appears to be some sort of sacrifice. Pawn c6, knight b2, pawn b7, knight c4, a8, capture, ba, queen, knight takes d2. What the heck is going on? Alright, just humor me for a second here. If d takes c6, humor me, kids. I'm not quite understanding. Knight takes b2, pawn takes b7, knight takes c4, a8 queen, knight takes d2, queen takes a6, knight takes f3, or do we take on f1? Very messy. We never know who's lurking in the bushes, Bob. I called you Bob. Sorry, Blob. You brought it on. It made me think of Bob in my mind. Ugh. It's like you miss Bob. That's scary. Yeah, it's weird. Wait, Spectacular Camel. Color Out of Space is being made into a movie. I am hyped. What is that? It sounds like Lovecraft. It's not like a Lovecraft story? Or is that a different title? But is that the proper title of the actual story? There was already a movie made. You know, there's already a like amateur film of that with that title. It wasn't bad, actually. I've seen it. Alright, guys, but this variation, what is going on here? That is amazing. And I never would have found the move. Look at this. The most amazing move of all. You don't take back the exchange. You play knight takes e4. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking like you either take on f3 and damage the structure, or you play knight takes f1. Knight takes e4 is the best move. None of us would have found this. You know, I don't think that anybody would have found it. I mean, you're just like down the exchange. White has a passed a pawn coming down, and the engine says that black is better here. That's cool, Spectacular Camel. Thanks for letting me know. This is an amazing variation. But it's winning, apparently. Oh. What? Oh my god. Kids. A8 knight. Double exclam. Wow. Mr. Coffee, how did you miss that variation? So that just wins. That is cool. Under promotion theme. Thank you, Stockfish. I would have left it by the wayside, guys. That's why you got to have the engine to blunder check. HTFP would have seen it. I mean, the other position is so complicated. You're like, oh, just get to the end and figure that out, but this just wins. So Mr. Coffee was bluffed. He was bluffed by Arsenal fan. Knight takes d3. Because he missed a8 knight. Not really bluffed, though, because the truth is he still has a good position. Alright. Should black exchange on d5 or not first? Is there a case to be made for that? Black is just barely by a thread not losing here. Yeah, I mean, there's a double threat of d6 and queen g7 mate. You don't have too many squares. But there is a problem. I mean, if you play d6, there's going to be queen c6 and the long diagonal acerbate. It's an Owen defense. So it was really not necessary to take on d5 here for black. Possibly like the worst move on the board. Not possibly, like it probably is. I see no reason to take on d5. Okay, it's not like it's over. Let's say you play, like, I don't know, bishop e7. And white plays d6 and you play queen c6. White can defend with knight e3. And then black can escape, you know, with some move wherever. Black has a lot of counterplay here. The long diagonal is murder. You've got f6 opening up the game. Your rook's coming in with rook c8. White is overextended. This is why people play the St. George. Why I play the St. George for positions like threatening bishop e6. Oof. So, I mean, quite possibly this is just a blunder. E takes d5. Yeah. But the computer likes Mr. Coffee's position much better than I. It's so materialistic. It's like, I am up pawn. I am better. I have more pawn. I still think that black has good practical chances. I would not play this move, you know. Still, you've got good practical chances here. Bishop e7. d6, queen c6, f3, okay. Whatever, I said knight e3. Yeah, I mean, you can say you're +2 here, but I still think in a human game, black has fairly reasonable counter chances. I guess this is a problem, though. If we lose a second pawn, we might be really screwed. Damn. So bishop e7 is bad. Okay, not bishop e7. We have to play bishop d8 right away. And if d6, queen c6, we can hang on to our pawn on b4. It's not that bad. All right, it's important for black to be accurate. So there's counter chances. But e takes d5 is definitely not right. You know, it looks like white's going to have the better of this ops color bishop position. E takes f, d takes c4. So white landed the first blow. He's breaking up the dark squares on the king's side. It's just mammoth. Though I don't know you necessarily... I don't think you want to take on g7 here, Mr. Coffee. He's going to just... See, this is probably a mistake coming up. White shouldn't take here. Better to just try to maneuver your queen over to h6 and into g7. So what happens if queen g4? Black is almost losing by force, but not quite. There are different problems. Okay, first of all, black has c3. That's a big issue. Okay, let's try queen g4. Force black to play g6 and then think about our options here with white. Maybe we can play bishop d4. And if we can just lock that down, play f3, and then weasel our way in on the dark squares, black is in serious trouble. I think it's feasible that white is significantly better here. Computer says it's like slight advantage to white. But I am skeptical of taking on g7 because it's just like a human shield, you know. It might be, you know, impossible for you to get him on the dark squares now. He just sort of defends. Computer seems kind of neutral about it. All right. But I think from a practical standpoint, I wouldn't take on g7. Rook ad1. This is a weird move by Arsenal. I mean, the e-file seems much more natural. Plus, I want to do rook there, rook there, rook there. You know, I think this lift is really powerful for black. Both sides have to figure out how to attack the other guy on their stronger color complex. And you also have rook penetration to the 7th, which is very strong. Probably Mr. Coffee will play like rook e1. But even so, I mean, maybe you can play like rook e6. I mean, and just, okay, fix my pawn structure or whatever. I mean, first we would play c3. Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, really interesting game. I'm glad we got to submit this, but this rook is now, what are we doing? What's our rook on a8 doing? c3, bishop c1, that's in the game. Mate, f3, a5, this is mandatory. There's a pawn here that we're losing. But yet, Arsenal has serious chances against c2. So, this is a bit of a problem. Check to avoid trading queens, which is a pity because I really wanted to bring the queen over here to attack c2. And now maybe, what? Mr. Coffee's still better. He's 2 pawns up, 3 pawns up. Oof. Man, that's deadly. There's a serious issue now. Man. All right. Wow. Here, so. That's amazing. So the queen gets in there and then wins this pawn. And suddenly black might be better. Oh, man. You're worried about the king side, but this is the real problem. Okay, we can lose that pawn and still survive blockading c1, but what if we lose our whole pawn chain? Now Mr. Coffee's got back rank threats. That's his only hope. c2. Oof. e1's hanging. So we're basically now with black up the exchange with a strong pass pawn, protected pass pawn on the 6th. Should be winning for black. There could be some complications, but c2. He's losing the c2 pawn. It was a kind of epic game. I would consider something like queen c3 here for black. Ouch. Like, bishop d2. Is that like the only move? Bishop d2. Rook e2. Can we play bishop d2? It's looking kind of hopeless now. I mean, maybe black can even just take this pawn on g7. Yeah. Well, that was an amazing game. Very back and forth. Mr. Coffee, you were in command for a good while there. So we got 2 games left. We've got 30 minutes or 25 minutes or so. Just enough time to do Mr. Coffee's game and save a dog. So the second battle of their match between Mr. Coffee and Arsenal fan. Where is it? Where is it, Mr. Coffee? I want to see the rematch. Was this the first game or the second game, Mr. Coffee, that we just played through? I had the impression that was the first game. Now, Mr. Coffee is black in game 2. That was the first game. Okay. So it's 10 plus 5 time control. Mr. Coffee is black. Advance French. Oh, it's Caro-Kann. I'm crazy. I'm so used to Mr. Coffee playing the French. He played the Caro-Kann. So now Arsenal plays G4, which is a move that was condemned as bad for like 20 years, but has recently resurfaced in the last 10 years as playable. Safest to play bishop d7. The other variations are very interesting, you know, bishop g6 and bishop e4, but probably Mr. Coffee should play bishop d7 unless he specifically knows the theory in the other lines very, very well. Do whatever Alexei Dreyev does. Anand has a couple games here. I would feel safer with this. Alright, so bishop g6, h4. And that's also probably not like white's only move. You could obviously play knight c3. Knight c3, e6, knight e2, and you transpose to another main line, which I don't like as much for white, but it's still a main line. So bishop g6. You can see some people even played e6 here. Serious games. Oparin versus Tari. But h4, and now h5. So HTFP says, I love to see g4 as black. It's fun and black is better. HTFP, you like this? Save Dog likes this. I feel uncomfortable playing black. I got killed by Morales in some game on the stream in this, I think. But g5 is completely bankrupt. This move is like just, it takes all the flexibility out of the white pawn structure. Whatever white does here, it can't be g5, like anything but g5. Bishop d3, knight h3, e6. You know, you have to disrupt, not play g5, because g5 gives black a very clear plan of just like e6, knight e7 with a solid position and good control of f5. This is just, I think, question mark. White still has a space advantage, yeah, but it's not really the idea, you know, to give black solid control of f5. So I don't know what the computer will say. Even g takes h5 is not, it's like destabilizing, but something other than g5. This is obviously like a critical idea. You try to kill the bishop on f8. Try to just seal it in. Queen d6 is a very common idea for black. And here you've got the bishop to recapture on f7, so you don't even have to lose your right to castle. Yeah, usually white is well prepared, but g5 is just a question mark. Question mark move. But, you know, you might say still his space advantage is so big that he's still fine. Okay, perhaps. The next move I don't really get. I suppose a3, he like wants to play b4 or something crazy. But I can't imagine, like, white has already made like 7 pawn moves and he's making another one. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is number 7. His 7th consecutive pawn move. That doesn't seem right. Knight e7, and now finally a piece move. Mr. Coffee doesn't mind exchanging pieces here. Bishop takes d3, queen takes d3. Now you might want to be careful when you play knight f5 that g6 isn't an option. Calculate carefully, because you can play g6 if you think that white's push to g6 might be a good move. You want to seriously make sure this is not a thing, you know. I don't want to give him any opportunities here. The computer is being tricky and playing knight d7. g6 is a safer move, just to make sure, no funny business. But it looks like it's okay. You know, it looks like it's okay. White needs to challenge this knight, you know, with knight e2, knight g3, and get rid of it. Mr. Coffee is... Gotta keep an eye on that. D takes c5. Is this a problem? Because bishop takes c5, queen b5 check, we'd have to sacrifice pawns. I would think that it would still be pretty good. Like, this is what happened, actually. I'm not sure if Mr. Coffee, like, intentionally wanted to sacrifice this pawn or just wasn't sure or just missed it. I don't know, you know. It seems like kind of unnecessarily risky for black. Om's on Twitch, thank you. Sheer rewards to 3 others in the chat with 333. So I'm not 33, I'm 39, but it's close. Thank you, Oms, for checking out the stream. Actually, this is probably going to be like pretty well received by the stockfish, you know, sacking this pawn, Mr. Coffee. I was expecting you to play a little more solidly, kind of completing your development. But there is an issue. I mean, you are afraid that white's going to lock down with b4. You still have a very solid position. You know, if you played something like g6, even if he stopped c5, I don't really like white here. He's got his pawns all in the wrong color. I think you always have a pretty good game, even if white has more space. But it's possible this is even like the best move. If queen b5 check, queen d7 is a good endgame for black, clearly. There's even the possibility Mr. Coffee could have another move in this position. Maybe knight c6 or something. But that would get kind of weird. You know, I think then b4 really gets pretty strange. So it looks like the engine agrees. Oh, it likes knight c6. But it also likes bishop takes c5. So you can take your pick. Now black's really ahead in development. Mr. Coffee is just not into g6. He doesn't do that. Now, being fair to Mr. Coffee, he is a French defense player. He's been mostly playing the French defense, so the Caro-Kann is relatively new to him. And this is a really crazy variation. So I've been playing Caro-Kann off and on my whole life, but never as my main opening. This is a safe move. Black has various strategic advantages here. I like the decision to take with the bishop. You've got pressure on e5. White's pawns are overextended. He has too many pawns on the dark squares. Well, black has a very strong pawn at d5. There's c-file. So black has basically like 3 or 4 positional advantages here. Let's see what it converts to. Well, right now it's converted to a clear pawn up. Did Arsenal fan have any way to play this sanely? In other words, yes. He could still play knight to d3. I mean, I gotta vote for knight to d3. If knight d4, you have king d1. If rook c8, you can eject the knight. Maybe not. Knight c3. Knight c3 starts to get kind of scary, but it looks like white is hanging on, you know, with like kind of passive defense here. Doggedly annoying defensive chances. Feels like Arsenal just kind of went over the cliff when he played this g6, just sort of losing e5 for nothing. But, I mean, I guess it's better than, you know, maybe preferable to defending passively. I don't know, but it looks like everything's falling apart. Black has a strong center. This is weak. Now it's even worse because black's rooks are connected. The entire black army is, like, developed, and he's up a pawn. Would you be thinking about castles? Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely think about it, but I agree with Mr. Coffee that waiting was probably best. He's actually threatening knight g6 now. So I guess there's no need. You know, the king is just good on f7. It's just good on f7. It's closer to the center. It protects e6. He didn't need the castle. Here was good. It's a crush. Knight d3 isn't possible. Knight g4 might be strong. He goes d4. I don't really love d4 because that's such a massive pawn on d5. I mean, it's just really keeping white at bay. Mr. Coffee, is there another way to play this position without giving up that, you know, kind of like massive pawn on d5? I wouldn't prefer to do that. Yeah, the engine suggestion is knight g4, knight d3, and e5. If f3, you get in there. Quite a bit of calculation required. But I'm not crazy about d4. It is like your strongest pawn. It's still good, though. I mean, you do give up this square a little bit. It's still good. But you give white a little something here now with knight g5. Be careful. If the bishop got to a3 or something, white could start to have very serious threats. And Arsenal is kind of dangerous positionally. So, I mean, this gets a little messy. And this just basically trades. Oh. What's going on? The knight is trapped. So this is probably what Arsenal missed. Wow. If you take on g5 check, I am up 2 pieces for a rook. His knight is trapped on the square. After this, and we're threatening to be up again 2 pieces for a rook. Wow. Oh man. This went wrong. Mr. Coffee, how are you worse? You got one last trick. Arsenal misses bishop f4 check here. Is this winning for white? Bishop f4 check, rook f4, king f4, knight e2 check. Maybe bishop f4 is winning for white. Goodness. What's the time situation? 5 minutes and 50 seconds, and he has bishop f4 winning. Oof. Now Mr. Coffee has all the fun. That was lucky. He completely got out of it. Apparently this is even stronger. Rook f3 check, but you can be forgiven for going for the exchange there. And now Mr. Coffee's up 2 pawns in an endgame again. This was really back and forth. And there's a mate on h2. Unfortunately, rook f8 check. There's no time. Just grab the material. We're only up 2 pawns, so don't lose anything. That was a long game. And it's still going. Draw. Man. Both sides made a lot of mistakes, but Mr. Coffee had him dead to rights there. You really had him busted. Sleazed out of it. Then Mr. Coffee's lucky that Arsenal fan didn't see bishop f4 check, which just basically wins on the spot. Okay. Last game for the day is Save a Dog. Thank you guys for joining me for the stream in advance. I'm going to be back tomorrow. Fast Friday. We're going to be playing Blitz and Rapid Chess at 11 a.m. CET here. Save a Dog is white, he says. Okay, last game, guys. Where is it? There it is. Oh, that's just my happy birthday. Where's the game? Where's the game, dude? Happy birthday is not enough. Where's your game, Save a Dog? There. Alright, please would you look at the online game I played? Please. Yes. Save dog playing white. Alright, Slav defense. The aggressive knight c3. Yeah, the problem with knight c3 is, unless you're going to play like Korchnoi, you know, it's better to play knight f3. D takes c4 is the reason. You know, this move is considered to be like inaccurate for white. But if you're willing to play like a full-on psycho romantic gambit style, if you play this Save a Dog, you have to play like psycho gambit chess. It's like a king's gambit on the other side of the board. Otherwise, I don't see a reason for playing this move order. We are results of our stream viewing. Guys are getting better. You like psycho chess? Who said that? Oh, you dislike psycho chess. Well, if you dislike psycho chess, I mean, I think, you know, you're giving black a good option here. I mean, I'm not concerned about the win over gambit or whatever. You know, this isn't a problem. But I am concerned about this. Because anything but e4, and you know, the best you got here, maybe knight f3. Perhaps you can play this somehow. I don't know what's going on in this line, like b5. I don't think I've ever looked at this in my life. But it's still a gambit style. You know, it's really... So, that move order, I think Korchnoi, again, you know, like to play knight c3. Bishop f5 is a strange move. Bishop f5 is a very strange move. I mean, you either take on c4, or you play knight f6, or you play e6. I've never seen anyone do this before. And then bishop g5 is like total random. Totally random. Yeah, if you like old people chess, you should play like e3 here. You know, that's old people chess. Probably like c takes d. That's as old people as you can get. This might actually be a good version of the exchange variation because you've got queen b3 right away. Novikov Wojtkiewicz, that's normally a bad deal, but Novikov didn't get him. I saw one time when Novikov was white against Wojtkiewicz, it was like lights out. Wojtkiewicz tried to play like a Pirtz modern against Novikov. This was a draw. Alright, c takes d5, queen b3. That's nice old school, old man chess. Maybe knight c6. This is totally unplayed. Anyway, alright. Exchange variation is for old people. We just have a totally random position here. Chernin has a game with white, oddly. He actually lived in Hungary. I don't know if he still lives here. He's totally off the map. Alexander Chernin, he wrote Pirtz Alert. He was a strong 2600, but just sort of disappeared. He's like a Russian grandmaster who moved to Hungary. Why would you want to move to Hungary? My number one question. I can compare notes with Chernin, maybe. Probably married a Hungarian wife or something like that. I don't know. Bishop h4, knight d7. What? So that appears to lose a pawn. You've got to ask yourself, if you can win a central pawn, why not? You know, cd5, ed5, knight d5, queen a5 check, knight c3. And I don't really get it. This is like acerbate, not paying attention in the first 5 moves. It's difficult to understand the basis of black's compensation for this pawn after c takes d5. I don't really get it. Like queen a5 check, knight c3, rook c8 or something? Do you think he really has some compensation here? I'm willing to suffer for a central pawn, you know, pretty much. I don't know what else he has, you know. The computer is actually encouraging this move. I would just go back, yeah. I mean, like, okay, fine, whatever. Apparently like this. Maybe there's some compensation. You'd have to work it out, but I'm very skeptical that black even really understood that. So here, okay, there's actual games where this position happened. I don't really like exchanging white square bishops with bishop d3. Drazic and Miles. That's something Miles would play bishop d3 well. He likes just exchanging pieces and crushing people in endgames. But I would play knight f3 and bishop e2 maybe. Okay, it's still fine for white. It's like equal position. I just don't understand bishop takes f6 really. Doesn't seem like there's any real reason for that. Okay, it's a blitz game, but I think you played a little weirdly. Also, knight g3 seems like a strange move. This isn't particularly well placed here. But that move, for the first time, I'm seeing, you know, some life here in the white position. Now black needs to react actively fast before this becomes problematic. I would say, like, I'm on full alert now with black, and probably c5 as quickly as possible to try to create some counterplay. When I see f4, I'm looking like c5 for black usually. He needs to try to keep you honest here at this point. I mean, if you're going to close the center and then try to kill him with f5, seriously, it's best move. Black has to change the game at this point. Okay, the engine is also suggesting like b5. I don't like that personally. I like c5 better. You can't be sitting there and just letting white play f5 with threats. He's got to do that. This move is like telegraphing an intention to play c5, but it's unnecessary. Now you could play c5. Instead you played f5. Maybe he can still play c5. It's not as good as it was, though. Rook c8 was a waste of time. Maybe this move. Your knight on g3 became almost a viable piece. So here, here. I don't really see... Alright, maybe b5 is okay. Taking you off of e6. He's got to play c5, man. This is like Yabadis' game, just not as bad. Like black taking on f5. Why do you want to take on f5 and turn a bad piece into a good piece in this position? Too anal retentive about the pawn structure. You know, this is actually the lesser of the evils, letting white take on e6 here. This is on a very bad square. Black should play c5, get some counterplay. He should have played that like 5 moves ago. It's probably not clear, you know. This isn't so bad. Rook d1. I'm not really sure. You know, this is obviously weakness, but white also has a weakness here. I don't think it's clear who's better. But let's see what happens. So this is horrendous. Knight f5. Yeah, you gotta take with the knight, man. I mean, the knight is so strong there. I mean, this doesn't win the game by itself, but your knight is on a bad square. And you need to make it better. I guess you were thinking about knight e4 and getting your rooks doubled, but the knight's just too strong on f5. So the whole position changed, and it seems like kind of okay for both sides. So there's the corresponding counterplay here. I mean, he's got bishop attacking this. We've got pressure on f7, pressure on d5, but black's position is still fundamentally kind of sound. Obviously, white has more threats momentarily, but I feel like black is still okay. But he just kind of lost the pawn with tempo. Obviously, the bishop should be better than the knight in the endgame. So there is hope for black here based on pawn structure and the superior minor piece to hold this endgame. F6 is ugly. I don't really like F6. Putting another pawn on dark squares, blocking our bishop. I don't know what he's supposed to play here, but F6, not my favorite move. The computer's like G6. Yeah, I mean, G6 would keep your knight off of F5 at least. F6 is sort of ugly. Alright, we're going to wrap up this game, guys. It was a back and forth fight. Rook e4, very awkward rook. And I guess I kind of like other options better. You can't, though. You have to keep e3 protected. Alright, sorry. You can't. Well, rook e7. You could play rook e7. I guess rook e4, alright. Fine. It's just awkward. Black has g6. Check here. f5. Alright. Take care, Spectacular Camel, and everybody. Yeah, white played a little bit passively. And then the second pawn just goes. I mean, both sides made, you know, a fair share of inaccuracies, but at this point, black has screwed it up, and he's basically 2 pawns down. And that's a disaster. You know, after rook e5, you might lose a pawn and not even win. At the very minimum, you must have this move. There he has rook e1. That's annoying. Yeah, so this is actually really not that easy. I still might prefer rook f3 to rook e5, though. Maybe it's better to just lose a pawn than have your pawn structure get mangled. Computer finds a move with h4. And now he plays h4. WJ Lou, thank you. I'm 39 again. I can't believe it. I found out today. 39. Thank you for the donation. I'm 39 again next year. Oh, guys, I'm just finishing the last game here. Looks like Save a Dog did his best to screw this up, but his best might not have been good enough. I'm thinking that black is on the verge of saving the game in the minor piece endgame here, but king safety is going to play a role. I meant to say king activity. Here, I would worry about king e4. I'm afraid this isn't enough. You know, we don't have enough. That bishop is better than the knight. I've been talking about this since like 20 moves ago. You know, evaluating endgames in advance is important. You know, preparing for the endgame. The other problem is that how are we going to get these pawns off of dark squares? We have so many pawns on dark squares. If you play king e4, the problem is that black can play h5, and then all your pawns are like fixed on the wrong color. And you can keep bothering them with like bishop d6. I think this might be a draw. Okay, but there's still a lot of game left. Knight d2 is okay. Now he can maybe play king at king d5. How should he set up here? This was probably an okay move. Knight d2. I'm like lagging or something. What just happened? Black played a lemon with g5. Maybe you should play h5, Save a Dog. Fixing that pawn. Keeping pawns on the board. G5, H5. Oh my goodness. In fact, black should probably play H5 himself. Or G6. I would suspect here. Peter wants to play King D5. This is probably a very bad move by black, G5. I mean, I thought H5 was my first reaction. G6 is another reasonable move. But this G5 is a horror show. I would just play H5 here. I think that you're probably very close to winning, if not winning, after H5. It's a secondary weakness on H6. It might not be enough still, but at least it keeps pawns on the board and you have practical chances. But exchanging pawns gets them a little closer to a draw, I would say. Fixing his pawn on the wrong square. Okay, this is a threat, but I mean, black must play bishop e7. This looks like a standard kind of pawn down draw. Thanks, Astrobait and HTFP, for additional donations, guys. Making my birthday complete. Black must keep the pawns on the opposite color of the bishop. You should set them up on h5, b5, and a6 and try to just hold the game. This is the optimal defensive formation for black. h5, a6, b5, bishop on e7. Can you win? But this is a terrible mistake. a5. I mean, forget about the fact that you're letting me trade into winning king pawn game. After a4, you know, you don't want your pawns to get fixed on the wrong color either. I mean, there's no reason to put the pawn on a dark square. You have to play bishop e7. So this is just ridiculous. You know, we're just winning. Zugzwan. Good game. It was very messy. Black's endgame technique, a disappointment. Thanks everybody for watching. I'm International Master William Paschall, and thank you for the birthday wishes and the kind donations today, and the gift sub. Anybody who resubbed, we're gonna be back for a stream tomorrow morning, guys. I gotta get my birthday cake on now. I will see you later, Ponda. Oh man, your hat looks stupid. What's up, man? Hello. Happy birthday to him. Anyway, alright guys. Oh, sorry, I forgot my voice. Alright, my puppet master skills are a little bit rusty. I will see you guys later. Have a great one. Friday. Sorry, it's been a long day. Friday is going to be 11 a.m. Blitz. Fast Blitz, guys. Thank everybody. Thanks to everybody. Lucas, what? Nice thing to know. Yeah, endgame is very important. You've got to make sure the bishop controls the dark squares, the pawns control the opposite color. Not put the pawns on the same color as your bishop. +9, +72. Thanks, guys. Have a great one. Thanks for the wishes. See you guys tomorrow morning, if I survive that long. Too hungry. I gotta get some food or I'm gonna pass out. I'll talk to you all later.